Call the Village of North Fond du Lac Village Trustee Board meeting to order Monday, November 18th. Audience members are requested to sign in on the sheet provided at the registration table. Citizens wishing to be heard on topics not listed on the agenda may speak under item C. Citizens may be given an opportunity to speak during discussion of items listed on the agenda and are allowed 3 minutes for comments. Disruptive discussion of profanity will not be allowed. Roll call, officers. Morning.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Streeter. Here.
Here.
Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizen participation. Citizens are to address the board only. Statements are limited to 3 minutes. The board may not respond to items not listed on the agenda. However, you may ask for an item to be placed on future agendas. Any citizen wishing to say no? Announcements, communications. Does anybody have any announcements? Then moving down to public hearing. We adjourn to public hearing. Adopting Resolution 16-2019, approving the general operating debt service fund, capital projects fund, Stillman Library, outdoor rec, EMS fund, and tax increment district number 1 and number 2 CDA budgets, and setting the tax levy for fiscal year 2020. Does anybody have any comments? Second time asking if anybody else wants to comment on the proposed budget for 2020. And last time, anybody have any comments? Seeing none. Public hearing is closed. President's business and staff reports. Library. Heather.
Thank you. Getting ready. Next week will be the holiday Thanksgiving. And so we'll be closed starting on Thanksgiving through that weekend. So once we come back, we'll be getting ready. We've been getting ready for the Santa event, which is coming up on Thursday, December 5th, because that's going to come up very quickly once we're back. So I think the police department is teaming with us again and going to do the route and make stops around North Fond du Lac, with the last one being the community center. And we'll do some of the same activities we've done in the past. We might be trying a little bit more of a group activity instead of an individual craft activity this year. And our theme, we're doing sort of a Rudolph decorating theme for the library, and a little bit whatever we can get done to get over there to decorate the community center. And so we hope to have that begin at 6:30 and go till about 8. So that's all I have.
Thanks. Lakeside Municipal Court.
Brooke was off for a couple weeks last week, so we've been kind of busy trying to get caught back up on everything. We are getting, the town of Oakfield contacted us, and they want to become part of Lakeside Municipal Court. So it looks like it's going to be about the beginning of the year is when it'll come effective. They're basically going to be doing citations that if there's people that are using the dump site after hours, and they're wanting to kind of get that stopped. That's all I got.
Thank you. Who was doing this service for them before? Themselves or?
They didn't have anything.
They never had license for?
So they're gonna, I'm not sure who they're gonna have issuing the citations. Haven't got quite that far yet, but
Would you have an update on your position at AO?
with it being so busy, with Brooke being gone, we haven't really had a lot of time to do that, but that's, yeah, very soon. Like ASAP.
Administrator, Nick?
Thank you. Attended the Plan Commission last week, as we'll be talking about a portion of that later on with the special use permit. We did also approve a CSM. The school building trades program would like to build another home. They subdivided, I shouldn't say subdivided, they divided off one parcel off of a piece of property they own on Westwood, just to be just west of the football field, that large field out there. They took the northwest corner of that, about an acre lot and made a lot there so they could build a home. They'll start doing that very shortly. So it's nice that they'll have another new home in the village. We also had our comprehensive plan discussion. We worked through a couple of sections of our comprehensive plan. We also reviewed the survey results for the comprehensive plan update. I also had a phone conference last week with RMM for our IT. They do our IT, talking about, as I mentioned throughout the budget process, we have to upgrade a server along with several PCs, and there's some firewall things we need to upgrade. So been trying to work through that with them. Also continue to assist Johnstone Supply with their construction, pending construction. They're working on their stormwater plan. As part of the stormwater process, they have to basically put in a design upon and then run a bunch of calculations on it and send it off to our consultant to have them review that to make sure it's meeting our ordinance and the state statutes. And I also did meet with the IAFF union president last week to start working on 2020 contract. So we should have that hopefully to the board, I'm hoping in December for the beginning of the year. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Yep.
Are we looking at having them do a 2-year contract
So-
versus a 1-year? Or?
Yeah, so we're doing a 2-year. I think there was a little confusion throughout the process. I think what their intentions is to do a 1-year contract this time and then do a 2-year contract. So if that's what they prefer at this point, I asked if we could just go to a 2-year right away. He was gonna talk to you about that. We're planning on getting to a 2-year, whether it's this time or the next. Mhm.
Hey Nick, I was gonna ask you, do you remember, I don't know if Chuck initiated doing these, but
Yep.
when we used to do
Yep.
give the analysis, and I was wondering if we could start doing it again. I mean, it was helpful for me, and I know it might.
Yeah, we still do, I mean, we still do these on, I would say, there's probably a couple items on this agenda that we could have probably done it for, but we still are doing these, we just maybe haven't had some of this is the background information for the board meetings. We'll
I mean, those
try
are
to get
just
that.
really helpful if we
Yep,
get that like,
understood.
more often, so like when
Mhm.
we get that agenda on Friday, or, you have a little bit better understanding of, and how you feel about it, or whatever department head it is. So I appreciate that. Police Department, Darren.
Thank you. I passed around monthly reports for September and October. It's a two-sided form in case you didn't figure that out when you got it. We've obviously continued to be busy. The staffing situation is very slowly starting to get back to a little more even keel. Zach Clinton is due to finish field training in the next 2 weeks, so that'll be a huge help. And Peter Mears is in about his 4th week right now, so he's got a ways to go yet, but like I said, slowly but surely getting there. As I indicated in my weekly report, we've been working on getting our MDCs changed over. If you recall, we switched from the Panasonic Toughbooks this last time around to a Dell product. The county is assisting us in getting those set up and getting them installed, but there's a lot of changes and little glitches that we're running into, so we're working on troubleshooting those and trying to get everything finally running at full level. A little bit of work to be done, but we're getting there. So looking forward to having those finished up and having that new product in place. Lastly, I wanted to remind everybody that winter parking went into effect on Friday. The way it works is even odd system. So today's the 18th, so starting at 8 o'clock tonight, any vehicles parked on the street have to be parked on the side of the street with the even numbered addresses, and that runs through 8 o'clock the next morning. So if you don't get home till after midnight, you just got to remember that it started at 8 o'clock and think back to what the date was before midnight. The winter parking rules are in effect and enforced whether or not there is snow on the street. So don't look at the weather and think it doesn't matter, because it does. We're out there every night checking it, and you will be issued citations which go up for subsequent offenses. So avoid that. Make sure your family and friends can avoid it and inform them of what's going on. We have the reminders on both our Facebook page and our website. That's all I have.
Thanks, Darren. You have anything for Jim?
He's at a, He was teaching tonight, actually, so.
Okay. Public Works, Darren.
Thanks, Mike. Just a couple quick things. We've got the sweeper back out, trying to pick up as many leaves from the streets and the curbs again this week with the balmy weather we're having right now. The weather the last 2 weeks didn't allow us to get out with the sweeper. Things were frozen down and the water system on the sweeper wouldn't work proper in that temperature. So we're gonna keep it out as long as we can and get as many streets swept as we can. I've been working on utility budgets to hopefully bring them to the board in December. And that's about it.
Thank you. Consent agenda, approve the minutes of the following board meeting, village board meeting from the 4th of November. Approve invoices and authorize checks to be drawn on the respective funds as indicated. General fund, $113,171.32. Library fund, $844.01. EMS fund, $2,711.03. Capital projects, $5,080.13. Water department, $13,404.96. Wastewater department, $2,822.26. Stormwater fund, $13,572.12. Community Development Authority, TIF, $443,614.34 for a grand total of $595,220.17. And also approve the following operator license for Ann Christian for Butcher's Block. What is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Wait a second.
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Will, second by Stutz to approve the consent agenda as read. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Administrative discussion and possible action on allowing the placement of a wreath at North Fond du Lac Veterans Memorial. This one yours, Chuck?
Yes, I had a gentleman from the Optimist Club who had nothing to do with the Optimist. He just wanted to possibly ask to see if a wreath could be placed on a stand next to the Veterans Memorial. It would, be back by the Veterans Memorial, just off to the side on the stand.
I know this was on the agenda last meeting, and I asked Nick if they could just postpone this one. One of the things with the Veterans Memorial, I know we did the wreath. I don't know if it was the same gentleman or not, but
It is. It was.
Okay. I know DPW made someone made a couple of brackets and hung it on that big stone, and then I used to deliver mail in that area, and I saw that, and that stone is worth, I think it's like $40,000, and then that with the wind blowing and all that stuff, it looked bad covering the names and stuff. And I know we put the wreath out. I think, was there another time that was on a stand? Maybe.
I think we moved it to a stand after
Okay.
that. So this is the second.
I know in the wintertime, we're not shoveling that anymore, are we? I know one time, I think they just pushed the snow up because all the stones are all engraved, so we didn't want to touch that.
Correct.
I personally haven't seen anybody over there. I mean, I appreciate, this is just me speaking as a veteran, I appreciate the thought of that, but it's, for me, it's like it's kind of redundant, like honoring veterans because the memorial honors veterans. And I think a wreath like that might look nicer if it was on a permanent stand by the stoplights on Double O and Prospect. I don't see a lot of people going over there in the winter time since, I prefer it not get shoveled because it might, because we don't shovel around the benches or anything anyway. But that's just my opinion. I just wanted to give my input. Anybody else have any opinions on it? Chuck?
One of the things when we talked just briefly about it last board meeting, Mike had said maybe we should reach out to some of the other past members of the committee. And at Pancake Day, I bumped into a number of them. I did ask, and like Tammy Keller and Keith King, both were in favor of allowing to put a wreath next to on the stand next to it. And I think Chief Pouch, who's also on the committee, had commented at the last board meeting that he was in favor of it as well. So, it's per your suggestion that maybe we just kind of reach out and see if anybody else had such a bad.
I have a little quick question, I'm not sure if
Mike.
you have the answer. The gentleman that wants it, is he a veteran?
I don't think he is. I'm not positive of that. I don't think so. There may be some relative or something that's there, but I don't know that either.
Randy?
So where would this wreath in the stand be? Would it be back by,
It'd be back, you know, as you walk down the walkway where it starts going out, I
Okay.
suspect it'd be off to the side right there. That's
and
where I
then it'll
was-
be placed, when are they looking at placing it?
Where or when?
When?
I would think sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
So it'll be, and then it'll be removed after?
Absolutely, right after Christmas.
Darren, did you have something?
Well, I did, but he asked part of the question. I was going to ask where exactly it was going to be located and ask, you know, if maybe moving it out a ways on the sidewalk that leads up to it so that, because like you said, it doesn't get shoveled, so maybe moving it out more to the front where it would be seen, and then there's no risk of it damaging the monuments. But then also as far as the removing of it goes, you know, we can kind of do that whenever we want. So, I mean, just because we allow somebody to put it out there, if the thing blows over and the stand breaks or whatever, we can go over there and pick it up and take it out. It's not going to be offending anybody. We're not going to be violating any rules or anything like that. So it's kind of up to us to, you know, make sure that it's not becoming an eyesore or whatever. But I do think that it's a good way to, for people to just be reminded of the fact that it is there and that it is a memorial for the veterans who have served. I would hate to see the whole thing kind of just fall by the wayside and become an afterthought because we decided we didn't want to allow people to go there and honor those people. And so I don't have a problem with it personally as somebody that was on the committee, but again, I understand the concerns too, so I think we can work it out though.
Well, Darren, there's no one's preventing anybody from going there. I mean, you know, we just didn't want to shovel in the wintertime just so.
Right, yeah, I understand that. I meant preventing people from putting out, you know, and again, I don't want this thing, when Chuck and I talked about it, I can understand not wanting everybody who has a person recognized on there to go over there and place flowers but I think with something like Christmas and Veterans Day, if somebody approaches the board and says, hey, can we put out a wreath, not for one specific person, but just as a reminder of the service that, you know, that I think is a good reminder, and I appreciate those efforts.
And that's one of the reasons I want to talk about that, because I think that's important, what you just said, you know, it's not, that's not what that is there for, is, you know, all the little personal stuff, so. Yep. Darren, is that sign that is up recognizing the original donors next to the bench, is that tough enough to like secure like a stand next to it so the wreath doesn't blow over? Because that's one of those things, I mean, if, you know, I hate to see a big wing come up and have it knocked over or secure it to something just so it stands up or keeps on.
Better off securing the stand off to the side with the use of a concrete block or
Stakes.
sandbags, staking it or
Okay,
something that.
just so it looks nice, I mean, just, yeah, so it doesn't look tacky, I appreciate that. Mike?
Okay, let's say we approve this, but what's stopping on residents seeing there's a wreath out there hanging where they go? Is there something in place over there saying that nothing can be placed out here?
There's nothing in place. We do have, kind of an internal policy. We talked about that we kind of, but we would definitely approach, I mean, if somebody just set something out there, we would remove it. If we knew who did it, we would approach them and say, there is a process for this, it needs to go to the village board.
Again, I just, that would invite, seeing that would invite more people to do it.
Sure.
Nick?
I was gonna add, I think that's a good suggestion what Darren said, especially in the wintertime, if it's not being shoveled, is maybe move it out towards the road, because for a couple of reasons. You mentioned one of them being, first of all, it stays away from the damaging anything, but second of all, it does kind of, if somebody pulls into the parking lot, that thing is set back a little bit, maybe it brings their attention to it and goes, hey, you know what's back there, so.
Good idea.
So, anybody have any other discussion on this one? I would make that motion to approve along the placement of a wreath at the Veterans Memorial. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
I got a motion by Streeter, second by Horning to approve placing the wreath by the North Fond du Lac Veterans Memorial.
Can I?
Any other, Mike?
Are we gonna word it where we want to put it?
I think.
I'm gonna ask the gentleman to bring the wreath to me, and we'll work with the village.
Okay, very
out there, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. And Chuck, if you could let the gentleman know, we appreciate
I will
that.
do that.
Could I-
That's, I know those aren't cheap.
Just back up, I did a little bookkeeping, Will got on the last consent agenda, you made the motion, who
Yes.
seconded it?
Randy.
Thank you.
I second it, yeah.
Thank you, sorry.
All right, moving down to number 2, discussion and possible action on 2020 general operating debt service fund, capital projects fund, Stillman Library, outdoor rec, EMS fund, and tax increment district number 1 and number 2 CDA budgets.
I question whether or not I even need to put this on there this time, but I thought as long as we're approving the resolution tonight and had the public hearing, we should at least have an item on here to discuss it if need be. We've kind of had this in the last several meetings and we've talked about it. I just put it on there for the last chance if there was any more comments with the budget.
Anybody have anything? Any last words before we?
I would like to make a comment. I wish
Yeah, Mike.
Jake was here, but I would hope we would try to close that deficit in the EMS.
Mhm.
You know, just.
I think we'll be,
Work towards that, and
Yep.
it's a small percentage of their overall budget, and I'd like to see him work
He's-
towards closing that.
I can respond to that because he is working on some things right now to do that. He'll be bringing something to the board next week to discuss,
Perfect, thank you.
or next meeting, I should say next week.
All right, anybody else? All right, seeing there's no action on this one.
No.
All right, so number 3, discussion and possible action on approving changes to North Fond du Lac operating policy section 2.1 procurement policy.
This was Jake's item, part of one of the grants we got, because of the money we received, through federal money we received. They asked to see a copy of our procurement policy, which is in our operating policies, and they wanted us to put this language in there. They basically sent it to us. It's part of the CFR 200. It's a federal language, and we basically cut and paste what they wanted us to put in here, and it's in our operating policy. They wanted it done sooner than later, and Jake's asked to get this on the agenda right away, so that's all we're doing is updating that just to make sure and we know that our operating policies, we talked about that, we went through the personnel policy, that definitely needs some updating, and this is an example of something that needs to be updated. Obviously, we don't have the time in a week to go through the entire thing, so it is a little piecemeal, but we're just putting this in there for that.
Mike?
Originally, I was a little concerned about this because I thought it would affect all village purchases, but it is more or less, I heard you talk before the meeting about, it's just for federal,
Yeah, that's the
Federal
CFR.
grant funds
It's
for
if you
spending?
receive federal funds.
if you receive them, but do we have to follow this
No.
policy to a T? I don't-
Nope.
That was my concern, that we'd be tying our hands on our, certain things that we do.
Yep. No, I mean, if you read the first part of it, it basically says that if federal dollars are received, then you need to follow these guidelines.
Right.
And
I
that's-
mean, if they're received, is that for all purchases or just the
No.
funds that they get? So
It says, number 9, if you read it, it says purchases utilizing federal funds.
Okay.
So if you're not utilizing federal funds, it doesn't apply.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ann.
Can you just, is this different than what we normally do? Like, does this
So-
put a burden on us that we don't usually have?
Well, we don't have a choice.
Okay.
When you receive federal funds, you have to follow all of these rules.
Did we do this with the?
Yes, we always have done this. It's
Okay.
just we didn't have it in our policy.
Okay,
You have to follow Davis-Bacon, all that stuff. When you receive federal funds, there is a requirement, there's a lot of paperwork. That's why you'll hear people grumble about federal dollars, because there's so much paperwork involved. We have to follow this, but they really strongly wanted us to have it in our policy.
and it applies to village and the police and the fire department?
Everyone. Yep.
And what federal funding do we get? Just this grant, or there's other stuff we need to think about?
Well, we receive federal grants quite often,
Yeah.
over the years, and like I said, nothing is changing, it's just that it's in our policy now.
So it's just like grant money?
Yep,
Okay.
utilizing federal grant funds.
There's just a couple wording things, I don't know if you're interested in that, are you able to?
It is not it's the federal language. It
Okay.
is straight out of this federal CFR 200.
Okay,
And I asked the question if we could just put in here
Mhm.
that we'll follow the 2 CFR 200, and they wanted the language. So
okay. Well,
I'm
they
just
need to
following,
wordsmith
they
it
gave
a
us
little
money,
bit.
so I'm gonna follow their instructions.
Okay, that's fine.
Mike?
Did we receive funding?
Yeah, I think, I don't know which funds it was, but I'm pretty sure it was for the exhaust system, and that's the reason.
by having it in our policy procedure for the village, does this help us when we apply for things? Does it give you
Yes.
some extra
Well,
credit?
that's a
for-
requirement of this. They basically said you should have had this done prior to this, but you need to get it done ASAP. So yeah, it's kind of a requirement in order. You should have this in your operating procedures.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this item? What is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to procedure 2.1 policies, operating policies 2.1.
Got a second?
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Horning and second by Price to approve approving the changes to the Norfolk operating policy, section 2.1, procurement policy. Any other questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Discussion and possible action on approving the following license application for the 2019-2020 licensing period. This is a combination Class A fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for the R store number 4513 for Sarah Rosenberg. And
Cigarette.
the tobacco and cigarette products license for the R store number 4513 for the store itself.
This, excuse me, if you recall, we do all these in June. And Chuck, you recall, we went through this once before. The parent company was sold to another parent company, and everything stays the same except the parent company, and we have to issue a new license. This is actually the Sarah Rosenberg is the same address, same everything, same. But that, because the parent company changed, we needed to redo the license. So.
All right, what is the board's pleasure?
We just make a motion to approve these licenses?
Mhm.
I make a motion to approve the license for the R store for Sarah Rosenberg. Looks like a tobacco and cigarette product license and a combination Class A fermented malt beverage license.
I get a second?
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Price and a second by Stats to approve the license application listed. Is there any other questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Resolutions. Number one, discussion and possible action on resolution 16-2019, the general operating debt fund, debt service fund, capital projects fund, Spillman Library, outdoor rec, EMS fund, and tax increment number 1 and number 2 CDA budgets, and setting the tax levy for fiscal year 2020. Does anybody have any questions on this item? I just want to thank Nick and everybody on the staff that worked so hard to get this done, and the board also for putting in the time and seeing what we could do to make this work, so we appreciate that.
I would echo that comment. Also, thanks Chris and the department heads and Nick for getting it done. And it's a fiscally responsible budget, and I think the taxpayers should be pleased. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, if there are any questions or comments on this one, I get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-16-2019 regarding the general operating budget.
All right, and a second?
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Seth, second by Will, to approve resolution 16-2019 for the 2020 general operating budget. Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right. Discussion and possible action on resolution 17-2019, a resolution granting a special use permit to tax parcels V05-15-17-05-08-001-00 and V05-15-17-05-08-004-004, the property to be utilized for medium and heavy-duty truck sales and repair.
Sure. There was an application, there is a write-up on this one with the background analysis, and we discussed this at the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission's recommendation was to approve the special use permit. It's for I passed around a picture. It's for a truck sales, Kentworth Truck Sales. It's they sell new semi-trucks, basically. They also sell used, more new than used. They do They do also some repairs to semi-trucks. If you look at the backup that Peter provided, the 5 items are on there as things to follow. We did talk about no outside repairs. We did discuss a concern being a parking of a bunch of trailers, and they said, that's very, very minimal, maybe 1 or 2, up to maybe 4 at a time when people are getting those trucks repaired. And they were very aware of not doing any repairs or leaving unrepaired vehicles sit outside. What I provided in a picture is pretty much what they are saying is going to be the exact same building that was just put up somewhere near La Crosse on Alaska, I believe. And that's what it would resemble, similar building. So this is on a site that has had some challenges over the years of being developed due to some easements, low-lying land. It's very wet. So I think, given the circumstances and given what is available out there for land, I think this is a good fit. And as I mentioned, the Plan Commission did make a recommendation to the village board to approve it.
Are there any questions or comments on
I
this
just
one?
want to add one thing was, I believe this might be the 5th or 6th facility that they're built, they are in the I mean, they probably got 5 in building.
Yep.
This will be their 6th or something, so
Yep.
they've got some assets behind them, so.
Just a question, on the plot land or whatever, there's a lot behind, I think it's JF Controls, Johnson Controls.
G&H Controls,
Is
yep.
that landlocked now, is that belong?
No, that's actually in front. This is behind that.
Mhm.
G&H Controls is right out on the road, and this is kind of behind that.
Yes, so is that, now with this being sold out to Kenworth,
Yep.
that's gonna take the other side, right? So that lot's behind, isn't that landlocked?
No, there's nothing landlocked, no.
Because the 41 is here, and then
Right.
Rolling Meadows is here,
Okay.
so they have like this.
Yep, no, J&H Controls still has their frontage on Rolling Meadows,
Great.
and then this site still has frontage on Rolling Meadows, and they have frontage on 41.
Yes, okay.
But are you saying, is that lot, I mean, who owns that lot?
Behind GH.
But behind G&H, this one?
You're saying about, so that's just a portion of their lot?
Okay.
Is that what you're
It's
asking?
yes,
I'm
it's
sorry,
just
I
plotted
wasn't
section.
understanding you.
Yeah, it just.
The piece behind J&H Controls is just part
Part of
of, I
J&H.
suspect that'll be the stormwater pond for this site.
Okay.
They'll utilize that
Are
as,
they buying that lot from?
it is, it's already bought, it's part of this.
Oh, I see.
It's all
Okay.
part of this, Chuck. I was misunderstanding the question.
Mhm.
That lot behind J&H Controls is part of this entire
I
lot.
see, okay, good.
And-
Yeah.
And Chuck,
Good
someone
question.
from G&H Control came to the meeting and they had some questions and they're fine with
Okay.
everything after, we went through everything.
Yep.
They were good.
Okay.
So,
Just-
Mike, I'm sorry.
I did ask that question in the plan commission, and the guy did say that, this plan is not permanent, it's a draft plan, and, it could shift one way or the other. It might be in the best interest of leaving an avenue to get that lot, because it's good frontage along the highway,
Yep.
you'd hate to put a retention
But,
on there.
yeah, but I suspect because of if you look at the JVL storage out there that was just put in, because of the direction the water flows already, my guess is that's where the stormwater pond's gonna be. It's just, that's where it's going. It's gotta get to Mosher Creek over there, so it's probably gonna end up being their stormwater pond.
It was not a concern to them at all, when they were purchasing it.
The only thing I would add, yes, about the resolution, when we do make the motion, I would suggest whoever makes the motion that they mention that the 5 conditions listed on the resolution as part of the motion. They don't have to read them, I'm just mentioning that there is 5 conditions.
Okay, okay. Other, Dan?
Yes, would you just mind giving us a summary of what happened at the planning commission meeting, like some of the concerns that people had?
There was the one gentleman that lives nearby was just a little bit, his question was wondering what it was gonna look like on the outside, was there gonna be broken down vehicles parked everywhere?
Right.
We talked through that is addressed through our zoning, if you look at the conditions that are listed on the resolution. That was it, pretty much from concerns. I asked about parking of trailers, that was one of my concerns. I also asked about repairing outside and how long these vehicles are sitting there. I also asked if they sold used vehicles, and they said, yes, they do sell used vehicles, but my concern being that they're really old used vehicles
Sure.
sitting out there. Based on what they're providing us with, what their other facilities look like, and just their reputation, we felt comfortable, and I think the neighbor felt comfortable, and I think the local plan commission felt comfortable.
Let's get discussion.
I think that you or J&H Control added about, it will be a blacktop site.
Yep.
And just because Sunbelt got grandfathered in because of
It was
previous
existing.
conditions or
Mhm.
something, so it was talking about it's gonna be fully added.
And that's on the conditions, it's listed on there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any idea how long they're gonna be operating, what their hours are going to be? Because I know you get up in the valley, like the Freightliner dealership, I mean, they run 24 hours a day for repairs and stuff. I mean, is this gonna be like a Monday through Saturday, or wasn't there any
There wasn't any discussion about the operational portion of
Okay.
it. At this point, it's just, yeah. No, there is discussion though, and it's on there too, that there is requirements for setbacking from residential areas, which they're adjacent to. Needs to be some sort of screening. There is already existing tree line, so that was addressed in that sense. It is also, it's that long Highway 41, so. I don't think this, from my understanding with talking to them, to me, it was more of like a 8 to 5, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the bigger concern was, the trailers parked in there.
Right.
And
I'm just concerned with the noise, you get along, I mean, you start working, some of these big facilities are working around the clock to get these trucks repaired and
Absolutely.
such like that.
Absolutely. Mike?
We talked about, we asked him about the timeline of getting it constructed. I don't remember what.
He didn't have an answer. He said they had no idea.
Didn't he have a rough idea?
I think he basically said this was the first step just to purchase a property, and we really don't have,
Yeah, I thought he gave us a rough idea.
I recall that he didn't know.
Okay.
Any other?
I don't know what their plans are, but we do have several businesses over there now that operate 24/7 as required, if need be on their part. Fond du Lac Truck being one of them, and the Mack Truck dealership, and we've never had any issues at all. They're some of the greatest people to work with, so,
And that's good to know, thank you.
Anybody else? What is the board's pleasure, and whoever makes the motion, if they could include the, is it 5?
Yep.
Or is it- Yeah, the 5 conditions in that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-17, 2009 with the 5 conditions stated in the background document.
Got a second?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion by Horning, second by Price, to approve Resolution 17-2019. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Communications. Anybody have any communications? I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Any new business? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion by Stutz and a second by Price to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thanks for coming, everybody.